Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you in another video. Alright, so we got some good news. Christian Koloko is now available to begin practicing. He was officially cleared this morning. I don't know how soon he'll be playing. My guess is probably after the road trip. After the road trip is what I'm guessing. Because usually when they do this, then they have to start practicing, rev up the conditioning, and then they throw him out there. I just have a feeling that's probably how they'll do it, but you never know. You never know. I'd love to be wrong. If he can go sooner than that, that'd be wonderful. But that is the news thus far. Christian Koloko finally been cleared. Congratulations to him coming back from the blood clot issue. They said he was going to be forced into retirement, and here he is able to continue his career. So that's a huge blessing for him and his family. And we need him on the floor. He's going to fill a need. We need another center. We need to put some depth in that position on the floor for ourselves. We don't want to force Jackson to be our only center, force people to play that position out of position, force Traore to play with the big team sooner than maybe we want him to. So that's a big deal, man. And I was thinking about this, you know, the thought that came to mind before the news about Koloko was maybe we should try to call up Traore and call up Quincy Olivari to make our bench better, because right now our bench is really suffering, as we all saw yesterday. And in several games, even though we've won, we can't seem to keep big leads, and we know why. It's because we can't seem to get anything out of our bench. And I think those two players particularly could be playable. Quincy Olivari is a playable player. He's already proven he can really go. When he gets going, he can really go on both sides of the floor. He can help you. So this is kind of an understanding. It's a no-brainer that the Lakers have some players in the G League right now that we probably would prefer to rely upon than maybe Bronny James or Jalen Hood-Schifino or Cam Reddish and stuff like that. Those guys are in the G League right now too, not Cam, but the other two are in the G League. Oh, of course, Bronny will be soon. We're sending them down there after the road trip, but the point is we have some unplayable players on our bench. And so, to me, I think that was one of the main reasons why I wanted us to keep Quincy Olivari, because I thought he could really boost our bench. Give us another playable piece that we can count on to give us more than what we've been receiving. So I know he's only going to be available for 50 games under his contract with a two-way, so you got to pick those games wisely. And of course give him his opportunities in the G League that, you know, most rookies are going to best utilize. It just gives them more minutes anyway, even if they're not necessarily in need of development so much. It will give them playing time, allow them to stay in game shape. So that's what I think. I would love to see him get a real contract with our team. I think it might even be something that we need done, not just something that I'm, you know, saying that because I'm rooting for him, but I think he's one of our better players, and we have a bad bench, you know. So that's what it really comes down to. He probably should not be on a two-way. He probably should not be. And hopefully our GM is looking for ways to turn some non-productive bench players into bench players that can be productive. We really need that done for our roster, or we're just not going to get as far as our core would be able to take us. If we had a really good bench, I think we could be the best team in the Western Conference, based on what we've already seen. If we could just maybe get two more quality bench players. So I'm not sure we don't already have those players in Traore and Olivari. Or Olivari, rather. I keep saying his name wrong, but it is Olivari. I'll get used to that. But I think they may already be here. I think Traore has proven to me, in the footage that I've seen, that he can be a contributor. Offensive rebounding, energy. You know, he can score some. He's going to be great on putbacks and stuff like that. Another big body to throw out there at the 4 and 5 position. Potentially could stretch the floor when needed. So I mean, I don't doubt that all rookies can benefit from being in the G League, but a guy like Traore, is that how you say the name? Whatever, Traore can probably contribute a little sooner than maybe some other rookies because he's been a pro already. He was a pro in France, so it's not like his development is so imperative. I look at a guy like Max Christie who probably needs more development than Traore does. He really does, especially for what we're asking Max to do and some of the struggles that we've had to start the season. He'd be best to be in the G League a little bit too. I know people are looking at me crazy, but Max Christie was on our bench last year. We didn't send him to the G League, and we didn't play him. And before that, he spent some time in the G League. And before that, he was drafted in the second round as a very young rookie. So when you put the math together, he hasn't really spent enough time in development. And now we throw him out there, and he's underdeveloped. I'm not saying you put Max Christie on a two-way or nothing like that. But just like Bronny James, he's one of those contract players that need to be playing some development ball. And so, out of necessity, that's not an option. But based on what I'm seeing, it probably should be. I think Max could do some good getting big minutes in the G League. I really do. I really genuinely believe that. So, yeah, man, I just think that the Lakers should shake some things up. Even if they're not able to make a trade, you shake some things up. You get Traore and Quincy up some and move Bronny, Jalen. I'm not going to say Max Christie, Max Lewis for sure. Let them get as many minutes in the G League as possible, and let's make good decisions with these development players. We didn't handle Max very well, but we don't have to do that with the rest of these guys. They should be getting development minutes and not being asked to play bigger roles until either forced to or ready to. I'm hopeful that the Lakers will do something in the trade market, something marginal, and make this team better. And two, you know, I got to ask my bench to play better. I got to ask specifically Gabe Vincent step his game up. He has to be a functional player on this bench. We can't have him having 0 nights and nights like last night where he doesn't really contribute, looking kind of lost in the offense. Defensively, he's been staying in front of people, so he's kind of a breath of fresh air in a sense that we don't have many guards that can defend. To be honest with you, we don't have many guys that could be plus defenders, so I like him on that side of the ball. But offensively, I think he just jacks up random shots a lot of times. You just look up and he's just jacking something in the air. It's just not what I need. So part of that is going to be Coach JJ giving him opportunities to look his best and kind of sit down with him and figure out how to work him into the equation. I've heard some people suggest that he not be out there with Max Christie since they both struggle offensively right now. It's kind of taken away from our offense. I agree with that sentiment. But it's not the easiest thing in the world. You got to shake some things around that ultimately may shake loose some things you don't want to move around in order to get certain things done. So some stuff we just got to live with, and that's just because of the limitations of this roster. But you figure, for me, if one of the things that we're really good at is offensive rebounding and we want to lean into our offensive rebounding prowess, then Traore is somebody we need to be looking to promote, because that's what he does. He gets offensive rebounds, he boards a lot, puts backs, energy, scores in the paint very well. Just a high energy guy. He's going to outwork people. And guys like that, in my opinion, don't need too much development. They can set a screen. They could afford to run reps where they set more screens and stuff like that. But you're not teaching Traore too much because you don't need to run too much for him. He's going to create for himself as it pertains to his production. He's going to get boards. He's going to get blocks. He's going to get rebounds. He's going to get points on putbacks and dunking the ball when he's dumped off to him. So for me, I don't know how much development Traore actually needs, because he's going to be that regardless. So for me, it's like, promote him, bring him up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. He's not overly defensive, but I think with the addition of Koloko, if you see him and Koloko out there together, in theory, they may be able to help each other out and be a hell of a wing tandem, not a wing tandem, but a front court tandem with length as your third string. Of course, we're still awaiting Christian Wood. and Vanderbilt, and when they come in, we'll really have some serious length. We'll never be small out there. I wonder about the spacing. No, I don't know that Koloko can stretch the floor any. Like I said, Traore, somebody, if he has to hit a three, he may be able to, but definitely not something that you expect is going to give you a lot of gravity out there. So that could be a little bit of a monkey wrench in what I just described, but ultimately, I like Traore for our situation in terms of keeping up our strength of rebounding and the philosophy of second chance and third opportunities at possession. So that's why I think Traore should be probably moved up a little bit. And so that's just what comes to mind. I just, when your bench is not very good and you got underdeveloped players and guys that, you know, come in and do very little productivity wise, you gotta use what you have. And for me, when I look at what Traore's capable of based on the homework I did on him, and I look at what Quincy Olivari has shown me in the G League, in the preseason, and some of the footage that I've seen from him in college, it's just like, yo, we need to utilize that piece. Yesterday we were lacking energy off the bench. Those are two energetic bench players. Like literally. It's the same thing I said about the Minnesota game on the Minnesota side of things. They were lacking in energy, and they got nothing but energy players on the bench. Nothing but talented, upside energy guys, and here we are running them out the gym, lacking energy. That's not a problem you actually have. It's a problem you're taking on because you're not necessarily doing what you need to do to utilize what you have. And so that's kind of how I look at what we're doing in a way. I don't think we have the luxury of as many energy players or expecting as much production as I would expect from Minnesota's bench, but we do have a little more energy than we are leading on, and being patient with it is something that you would love the luxury of being able to do, but I don't know that we have that luxury based on our issues. So that's what I want to say. I just don't think we are in the greatest spot to just sit and kind of hold on to what we have here, because what we're ending up finding out is JJ Redick really takes losses bad. From what I understand, he was cussing and fussing last night, which is fine. We like that. What I don't want him to do is, in correcting those problems, eliminating his stuff that can't produce, and then from there we're leaning on AD and Bron too much and they end up getting injured. That's what I'm thinking. Because there are ways to fix this problem. You just got to lean into AD more. You got to lean into Austin more. Got to lean into Rui more. Keep the good on the floor more. But what you end up doing is overusing it. So, will he have the temperament to continue to blow leads so that he can utilize those bodies that can't really produce, so that he can keep the production players fresh and healthy? Or is he going to just pull a Tom Thibodeau and just play these guys every game and just wear them down? We see what happens to the Knicks in the playoffs every year. They barely had any of their team out there, and I know why. It's because of that. So I don't know if you don't, in the long run, just do better going with what you have on your bench, whether it's very good or not, playing it as much as necessary to keep everybody fresh, and letting that be the lesser of the two evils. However, if you have options to improve your bench by maybe moving some people around, sending some people in the G League, sending some people up, then that will improve your bench and give you a better dynamic there. And I think that's what the solution is, I see. At least for the short term. And then you look at it and say, okay, well, Wood and Vanderbilt are coming back. So this doesn't have to be something that we are relying upon for too much longer. Hopefully those guys can get back healthy. And then it shakes our bench out to making a little more sense. But even so, when you look at the ingredients those players are, those are bigs. We're having issues with our guards on the bench. Max Christie, Gabe Vincent, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Bronny James, they're not productive guards. So when you bring Vando back and you bring Wood back, you bring in Koloko, you still got the same problem with the guards. So that's something I'm already thinking about, and that's why Olivari is so important. Because if we can't get nothing out of those bench guards, I know we can get something out of him. I'm certain of that. So that's kind of what it is, man. We're trying to problem solve and brainstorm and try to figure out what will work for our team, so that in moving forward, we're not asking our starters to just be Knicks, essentially Thibodeau starters that have great production throughout the regular season, but then have nothing left in the playoffs. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing there. I really like that JJ Redick took accountability for the loss. Some of the decisions not to, for example, how he defended KD. He didn't find himself satisfied with. He blamed himself for the 14-point quarter, from what I understand. The second quarter where we really came out flat. And it was just like anything else I say in this season. Did we survive our max minutes? Did we survive our bench minutes? No. We can't. we can't. Non-AD minutes for us is bad. As long as AD's on the floor, we look amazing. And it was really all him in the first quarter, basically blocking shots, making points happen, being recipient of great passes and finishing. He was the best player on the floor in the first quarter, to say the least. And he was playing some of his best ball. But he does need to sit down at times, and when he does, who you bring in has to be able to at least keep some energy going. And I just thought that that's where we really fell off. And, then it becomes about the same theory that I just brought up. Do you go to AD more and potentially wear him down too soon? Because at the end of the day, this is the first 5 games of the season we're in right now. We got a long way to go. So trying to just capture these wins means all the world to our seeding later on. And, you want to make sure you have home court advantage, stuff like that against teams. All of that very much matters in Western Conference matchups. But if you, as I said, try to do everything you can to capture these wins, you're essentially playing at 48 minutes. You know what I mean? And demanding that he come back out there and keep playing the same way he's playing. I don't know where that energy's coming from. He's like 32 years old. You know what I mean? I don't think that playing him 48 minutes is smart at all. So that's what it really comes down to. Yes, we can fix these problems, but no, they just simply create health issues potentially. So with LeBron James looking like he's going to have a little more of a challenge trying to get up for every game now, it looks like Father Time is really starting to knock on his door. All the more reason why we got to keep people healthy, all the more reason why our bench needs to be productive. So half of that's on Rob Pelinka to try to make moves, but some of that is on just our overall staff making good decisions with the pieces we have, and trying to get something out of some of these guys that can't seem to get it going. Gotta spend as much time as possible trying to make non-productive players productive and hope for the best. Gabe Vincent, I believe we can get more out of. He's better than this. We just got to figure out how to use him. But he's better than this. And Max Christie, just got to develop. Just got to work with Max Christie. Got to keep his confidence high. Got to work drills. That we've been talking about. Drills that allow him to kind of get more sharp with certain things. And with time, he'll get better. Throughout the course of the season, I think we'll see a better Max Christie as we go forward. But we're gonna have to get through the darkest aspects of his development, and that is right now. So it's just gonna be hard for a little bit. That's why I've been preparing people for, even in the off season. I've been saying that. Now it's like, you see what I was talking about. But unfortunately, this is not the type of vindication that I'd be looking for. I'd love to be wrong, but in these type of situations, if you ain't play a guy, you can throw him out there and hope for the best, but he's not going to be able to learn nothing that he hasn't been taught. So he ain't going to provide experience that he hasn't been given. So that's the statement. But and then there's D'Lo. If D'Lo could just step into his better self, he'll mask a lot of these problems. But because he's kind of going through the motions, I think he has one foot in, one foot out in a way, because he knows that the trade is likely coming this time, and that's a hard space to be in when you're a basketball player, especially when you want to be where you're at. You want to go all in, but why? You're going to be on a different team a couple months from now, or any moment you're going to have to uproot your family out of Los Angeles. It's not easy to deal with, so I don't blame him. We kind of created an environment for which he would be able to struggle with having one foot in and one foot out. We created that environment for him. And so that's hard. You can't just manifest devotion out of nowhere. It's very difficult to do. Either you're gonna buy into the fact that he's your point guard and give him some job security so he can feel like he's all in on this Laker thing, or he's going to wonder if he's probably best preserving himself because he's probably going to be somewhere else having to prove himself in a different role. It's what it is. Best thing we can do is probably move on from him, basically, because he's going to be a free agent any damn way. I'd imagine that, you know, he'd be open-minded to re-signing with the Lakers since it seems like he want to be here anyway. But I think, you know, if the Lakers need somebody who's going to be 100% consistent, constantly devoted, you know, you probably need a different pace. You probably do. And so I like D'Lo. I think he's a hell of a weapon. I think ultimately you would prefer the high-level gifts that he has to be on your team. Because at any moment, if he really finds himself, he can blow a game wide open in ways that maybe the person you're bringing in is not going to be able to do. And that's the reality of D'Lo Russell. He has a pretty low floor, but his ceiling is higher than other players in his value range. So you bring in a Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton don't have the ceiling that D'Lo has. If D'Lo go crazy, D'Lo can go for 70 points, literally. Like he'll string together 10 threes in one game on his best night. He's never done it, but he's capable of that. And so, but on his worst night, he's not helping very much, you know. So that's just not the right ingredient for the Lakers, man. We need a more solid, steady point guard. We probably need more athleticism at our point guard position on both sides of the floor. And you know, I think when we move on from D'Lo, we're gonna miss that gift that he has to blow a game wide open. I think we're gonna miss that three-point shooting, which he quite honestly can do as well as anybody. So yeah, you take the good with the bad, the extreme gifts and the extreme floors, and something's gonna have to give. Either you hold on to this player for the sake of all that you believe he can do and deal with his bad days, or you move on from him, bring in something that's probably not as talented as him, but likely more reliable, and hope for the best. I'm not a fan of the dynamic at all, but it is what it is. So yeah, man, that's what I gotta say. Glad Christian Coloco's back. Hopefully he can come in and be impressive to us. I'm not really sure what all he can do. I don't find myself being somebody who's seen too much from him, but I know that he's one of those bigs that can trek out to the perimeter and guard perimeter players and then trek back into the paint and do stuff like that. So that is extremely impressive when anybody can be that athletic, that big, and with that much length. And athleticism, runs the floor pretty well. That's about as much as I know. We will learn when we see him exactly how talented he may be. So we'll see, man. We'll see. Now, like I said, you know, as far as the D'Lo thing, I'm not 100% comfortable with moving on from D'Lo, only because I don't know that the stuff that you can get at his value range is really all that great. I'm just being honest with you. I think he's probably the most talented player at his value range, probably in the entire basketball league. Probably has the highest ceiling of any one player that you're going to find in his value range. So it's like you're giving up a massive weapon that only works sometimes. That's the problem. It's like you turn on the ignition. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You got to keep revving and revving. That's how he is. But when he gets going, he can go 200 miles an hour. That's D'Lo. And for the price tag, you're going to get something that probably goes 120 miles an hour. So, you know, you think you're getting something better back, or you think you're getting, but you start finding out it probably balances itself out, even if you do move on from D'Lo. So that's what I'm worried about. That is exactly what I'm worried about. I just don't think you're going to get nothing better. So, yeah, man. Salute the Kobe Minute. So it's on us right now. And that's pretty much what I got to say, man. Definitely love being 3-1. Definitely love what I've seen from my team early on, but I'm not surprised by our struggles. Our bench is not very good, and we're going to have to figure out ways of improving it, whether we can make trades or not. BDL44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.